Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tearing into a really dense but, wow, incredibly powerful source, Oren Klaff's Pitch Anything.
It's a classic.
It really is. And it's so much more than just a guide to selling. It's more like a manual on how to structure your ideas so they just instantly land, you know?
So they cut through all the noise.
Exactly. So they cut through distraction and actually stick in the minds of, well, anyone you need to convince. So our mission here is to basically give you the cheat code, a rapid path to understanding Klaff's core method, which he calls the strong method.
And it's a pretty unique approach. It kind of fuses neuroscience with these really high-stakes, real-world tactics.
Yeah, so if you've ever felt like your brilliant idea just got lost in translation somewhere, this deep dive is, well, it's your path to making a truly memorable impact and, winning the deal.
And that impact is necessary in, every field, really. Whether you're a startup founder trying to get that crucial first round of funding.
Or a sales executive.
Right, a sales executive, a director trying to rally your team around some big change. These techniques are, well, they're universal.
So they're designed to boost your confidence.
Yeah, and to fundamentally reshape how you approach any conversation where the outcome, where it really matters.
Okay, let's unpack this. The foundation of the whole system is this acronym, STRONG. Before we get into the psychology, what does it stand for?
So it's a 6-part blueprint, and each part sort of builds on the last. We start with S, which is setting the frame.
Okay.
Basically establishing control of the interaction. Then we have T for telling the story, because narrative is how we deliver big ideas.
Makes sense.
Then R is revealing the intrigue, keeping the audience hooked. O is offering the prize, showing your unique value. N is nailing the hook point.
The sticky idea.
The sticky idea, exactly. The thing they remember. And finally, G is getting a decision, closing with real intentionality.
That's a really comprehensive structure. Okay, so let's jump right into the psychological core, starting with that S frame control. Klaff says every interaction is a battle of frames. What exactly is a frame, and why is winning that battle, in the first 30 seconds, so critical?
Well, a frame it's the mental context. It's the reality that governs the whole interaction. Our brains process everything based on the first frame we accept.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. If you show up late and you're apologizing over and over, you've just established an inferior frame.
You're on the back foot.
Instantly. Or if the investor rushes you, interrupts you, they've set a dominant frame. So your main goal is to project your perspective, your frame, as the dominant one.
So that your message is heard through your filter, not theirs.
You got it.
I can see that. But how do you establish dominance without, walking into a room and just acting like a jerk? That seems like a really fine line.
It is, and it's all about strategic execution, not aggression. You achieve it through competence and control.
So how does that play out?
Okay, so say an investor tries to hijack your time. They say, we only have 5 minutes.
Yeah, that happens.
All the time. A strategic frame control response would be to calmly reframe it. You might say, I understand your time is valuable. That's actually why I designed this to require 15 minutes. If you're really limited to 5, we should probably reschedule so you can get the full value.
So you didn't argue, you just defended the value of your own process.
Exactly. And this relies a lot on using intrigue. Intrigue isn't just dumping information on them.
It's more like a movie trailer.
Perfect analogy. It's the strategic use of mystery. You want them curious, not saturated. And if you combine that with blending logic and emotion, so you give them the data but wrap it in a story, you've basically won the frame battle.
You've engaged both sides of their brain.
The rational and the emotional, yes.
So frame control is about setting boundaries and value right up front. That leads us perfectly into the next piece. Status dynamics. We're in chapter 3 now. And Klaff talks a lot about perceived status. How does that perception, not, actual wealth or power, but the perception of it, affect the pitch?
Oh, it influences everything.
Yeah.
Dramatically. It affects trust, receptiveness. If the audience perceives you as low status.
So like nervous or desperate.
Exactly. If they see you as overly deferential, nervous, desperate, they will subconsciously devalue your idea. It's just a primal brain thing.
And high status is?
High status, in this context, is projecting genuine, calm confidence, competence. It's not arrogance at all. It's just certainty in your own value. And the most lethal behavior to that high status, as he points out, is neediness.
Right.
Any sign that you need this deal to survive, like over-explaining or constantly looking for approval.
Is that okay? Did that make sense?
Yes. or making desperate concessions right away. It completely undermines your credibility.
But wait, how do you project high status when you're pitching to someone who is, genuinely your superior, like a billionaire VC or a Fortune 500 CEO? They have actual high status.
That's a great question.
Doesn't pretending to be confident just look foolish?
It would, if that's what you were doing. And that's where the tactic of reframing challenges comes in. You don't ignore their status. You project high status relative to the problem at hand.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So let's say they challenge your team's lack of operational history. Instead of apologizing for it, you reframe the challenge to highlight your strengths.
Got it.
You could say something like, "You're right, we don't have 30 years of history. What we have is a zero-legacy approach." That means we aren't bogged down by old systems, so we can pivot faster than anyone else in this room.
Wow. Okay. You've acknowledged the fact, but you immediately turned it into a strategic advantage.
In a controlled, confident way. That is a high-status move.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so now we have the mindset. Frame control and high status. Let's move into the actual structure of the pitch. This brings in the other parts of Strong, right? Telling the story, revealing the intrigue, and offering the prize.
Absolutely. The structure is non-negotiable. The modern pitch is basically dead without a compelling story, which is the T. Klaff insists you have to use a narrative structure. The hero, the conflict, the resolution. Because our brains are just hardwired to process information that way.
People remember stories.
People forget statistics, but they remember conflict and resolution every time.
And the R, revealing the intrigue, that means we're constantly building towards some kind of emotional payoff.
Correct. You reveal the idea in stages. You don't just give them the punchline right away. You might start by identifying a huge industry problem. Then you introduce a surprising flaw in how everyone else is trying to solve it. And only then do you present your unique solution.
That controlled release of information.
It's key. It avoids information overload. And that leads directly to O, offering the prize. The prize isn't just your product.
It's the opportunity.
It's the opportunity you're presenting, framed from their perspective. You shift the focus from what you need, funding, a deal, to what they get. Exclusive access, massive returns, market dominance, whatever it is.
Okay, now we get to what he calls the advanced maneuvers in Chapter 5. Frame stacking and hot cognitions. These sound very tactical. Let's start with frame stacking. What is that?
Frame stacking it's how you manage a really complex pitch by directing the flow. It's about consciously building multiple layers of context.
Layers of context.
Yeah, so for example, your first layer might be the macro frame, this massive trend happening in the industry. Your second layer is the transaction frame, the specific problem that trend creates inside their company.
And the third?
The third is the deal frame, how your solution solves that immediate, painful problem for them.
I see. So by layering the context, you're kind of anticipating their objections and making sure that even if they interrupt, they're still arguing within a context you created.
Precisely. You maintain control. And to make sure those logical layers are actually felt, you use what he calls hot cognitions.
Hot cognitions.
This is the art of tapping directly into the audience's emotional triggers. It's the difference between presenting a cold, logical fact and presenting a fact that makes them have a visceral response.
Can you give us a practical example? Like, how does a presenter actually generate a hot cognition in the room?
Okay, so instead of saying, our new CRM saves companies 20% on overhead, which is cold, you create a hot cognition. You could pivot and say that 20% isn't just money. It's the difference between your key competitor buying out your supply chain next year or you buying out theirs.
Oh, yeah, that lands differently.
Or even better, you tell the story of a competitor who failed to adopt your tech and show the emotional fallout, the layoffs, the missed opportunity, that feeling of falling behind. You make the loss real and immediate.
So what's fascinating here is the entire structure is built to make sure the audience is emotionally invested before they even start to logically evaluate the facts.
Yes, it's like an emotional gravity well that makes the logical argument almost irresistible.
That combination is really the genius of the whole method.
It is.
So let's talk about what might be the biggest mental shift. From Chapter 6, the permanent eradication of neediness. If desperation is so lethal, what's the fundamental transformation a pitcher has to go through?
The transformation is simple to say, but difficult to do. You have to change your internal narrative. You have to stop thinking, I desperately need this deal to survive.
And start thinking.
And start truly believing, this deal needs me because I have the unique solution and the competence to execute it.
That completely flips the psychological power dynamic.
Completely. When you genuinely see yourself as the prize, as the person bringing this unique opportunity, you just radiate a different kind of energy, calm confidence.
And practically, what does that look like?
It means setting firm boundaries, not immediately caving on scope creep, maintaining a kind of detached attitude toward the final outcome. Your job is to present the best possible opportunity. Their job is to decide if they're worthy of it.
I find myself wondering if this is a form of, I don't know, calculated manipulation, or if it requires you to truly believe in your own value.
It has to be true to leave. If you're faking the confidence, it will just crumble under the first sign of pressure. But if you've done the work, if you know your solution is truly superior, then framing it as a unique opportunity, well, you're just stating a fact about your high-quality offering. And that belief reassures them and persuades them to trust you.
Belief in your own value is the strongest frame of all. That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's bring this home to the final steps. Nailing the hook point, N, and getting a decision, G.
Yeah, this is where theory meets reality. Klaff uses Chapter 7, the airport deal, to show it all in action. He was pitching in this chaotic environment and had to adapt his frame on the fly, use humor to break tension.
And then nail the hook point.
And nail the hook point, that single, unforgettable, sticky idea that summarizes everything.
It's the one thing they repeat to their colleagues after you leave.
Exactly. It needs to be simple, bold, and just convey massive value. And then finally, G, getting a decision. This means you close with intentionality. Klaff argues against ambiguity.
So no, let's circle back.
No, you have to clearly state the next steps, the commitment required, and the immediate path forward. Ambiguity is the enemy of a closed deal.
Which brings us to the last chapter, Get in the Game, where he emphasizes that mastery it's not a destination.
It's an ongoing process.
So what are the final actionable steps for you, for the learner?
It's really a cycle of refinement. First, radical preparation. Know your audience, anticipate their exact questions, and then rehearse until you don't sound rehearsed at all.
So you can deviate from the script and still land all your points.
Effortlessly.
Yeah.
Then second is practice and adaptability. Record yourself. Critique your own status behaviors. And be ready to pivot the second you feel your frame is getting compromised or a hot cognition isn't landing.
And what about rejection? It happens to everyone, even the best.
You have to embrace it. Klaff says to treat every no as a learning opportunity. A chance to refine your frame stacking or improve your hook point or figure out where you lost the status battle. Mastery only comes from consistently applying this toolkit and refining it with real-world feedback.
This has been a really insightful breakdown. I mean, we've gone from the core psychological battle of controlling the frame through the dynamics of status, getting rid of desperation, all the way to the tactical structure you need to make a big idea stick.
Yeah, the STRONG method really is a comprehensive toolkit.
It transforms how you present yourself and your ideas in, well, in any high-stakes situation.
It's a total shift from, asking for permission to setting the terms of the engagement.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? If mastering pitching is this ongoing process of learning and practicing and adapting, and every single interaction from presenting to your CEO to negotiating a big life decision is fundamentally a battle of frames that dictates how you're perceived, you really have to ask yourself,
What frame are you projecting?
Are you waiting for the world to set the frame for you, or are you actively setting the frame you want the world to accept right now, something for you to mull or explore on your own?